If I were to ask you what type of firearm this is, your answer will probably be different depending on your gun knowledge. If your gun knowledge is Call of Duty, you'll probably misidentify this as the Kar98. This is not. If your gun education comes from Wine Mom's Demand Action, you'll probably identify this as a perfectly good hunting rifle, and you would be right, this is a good hunting rifle. Just ask the Bosniak. Now, all jokes aside, this is the Yugoslavian M48 Mauser.
Bilo je junaka, bilo I biće, sunce slobode sada nam sviće. Bilo je I oni koji nisu fair, ali jedan je Mauser. Panteri, vi ste hrabri momci, najhrabriji naši, srpski dobrovoljci. Odlijeci mači, to su prave šeme, da ste pravi borci. Pokazalo vrijeme. Ima jedan junak srpskoga isti kao pravoj naroda. Ima jedan borac tihinom to je Yugo Mauser. Panteri, sve hrabri momci, najhrabriji naši.
And if you too are interested in military surplus firearms, consider subscribing. The Yugoslavian M48 Mauser was designed in 1948 and started production in 1950 and ceased production in 1965, with over 1.2 million units made between 4 different variants of the M48. Its service history was from the 1950s until 1964. However, it did see use in the Yugoslavian Civil War. I'm surprised that it stayed in service as long as it did until the 1960s, and I'm pretty shocked it saw use in the Yugoslavian War, even though it really shouldn't shock me because we have seen militias and insurgents use really outdated weapons. Even in the recent Russia-Ukraine war, you see Mosin Nagants being used, very old World War II weapons being used in the conflict because it's a gun. It can fire, the ammo sometimes is relatively available, so whatever you can use, you're going to use it, so it really shouldn't shock me that this was used in the Yugoslavian war. So a lot of these rifles were not used in the Yugoslavian Civil War. Very few actually saw combat, and that's fairly common with most military surplus firearms that you see in the United States. Very few actually saw combat. A lot of them sat in storage closets or were issued to soldiers that didn't see combat. Now, when this firearm is not being used for ethnic conflicts, you can find these online or at your local gun store, anywhere between $350 to $700. Online is going to be significantly cheaper, especially if you get it at an auction house. Now, prices will vary at auction houses, but I got this one for $240. Now, after the fees, the FFL transfer fee, the shipping fee, the internet premium fee, the insufferable fee, and the too many fees fee, this came out to $420, which is significantly higher than the $240 I won it at. However, significantly cheaper than the $700 I saw one of these rifles going for at a relatively decent-sized gun dealer about an hour away. If I had $1 million for every time a Mauser action rifle was used to commit a genocide, I'd have enough money to have a Jeff Bezos kind of wedding. So the rifle is sighted in at a minimum distance of 200 meters. So with this rifle being sighted in at a minimum distance of 200 meters, it does make it hard for aiming short distances. I think it does kind of work pretty well at 50 yards. However, at 100 yards, when you line up your shot, you'll need to drop the gun by 12 inches in order to hit your target. The bullet lands 12 inches higher, roughly. For the Europeans, if your country allows you to own a firearm, it will be about 0.3 meters higher. Now, some of you might be wondering, what are the similarities and differences from this to the Kar98? And I can tell you that the Yugo Mauser and the Kar98 have very little similarities between the two. Cosmetically, they look similar, but part-wise and interchangeability of parts, there's almost nothing substantial that can be switched between the two. The bolt, you're not switching the bolt. The stock, not even the stock, can be thrown onto a Kar98 or vice versa. There are small parts you can interchange, but that's about it. These are very different rifles, part-wise. Action-wise is similar, like it's based on the Gewehr 98 action. Now, what I'm shooting specifically is Romanian 8mm Mauser surplus. It's a 154 grain projectile, if I'm not mistaken. But I will say the Romanian ammo does fire very well out of this. At least with the case that I just recently bought, I have had no issues with any of the rounds. I've had no studs, nothing like that. No hang fires, they all fire the moment I pull the trigger. So if you're looking at Romanian surplus, that might be a good start. Now, some boxes may be different. You can't guarantee it, but at least the box I bought, or the spam can I bought, 8mm Romanian surplus was fairly reliable. So there is a safety on this rifle, and you just flip it over. Now it's safe, the bolt is locked, and you cannot release the firing pin, you cannot fire the weapon. However, safety is a mechanical device that will fail, that can and will fail. But to disassemble the bolt, you flip this into the upright position, pull this lever, and your bolt comes all the way out. And then you just twist the bolt. So here's your firing pin, here's your bolt. Do whatever cleaning you deem necessary. Now when you attach it, you just twist it back on, and it locks up here. Then when you have it all together, you slide it all the way forward, lock it, and then you can either put it on safe or fire. Now that is the Yugo M48 Mauser. It is probably my favorite Mauser rifle so far. Now, with this rifle being produced in the 1950s and kept in service until the 1960s, specifically 1965, this rifle was on its way, if not already, obsolete. You had the SKS, you had the AK-47. This rifle was really the last Mauser that saw production, or one of the last Mausers that saw production, mainly because you had better equipment coming out. Consider subscribing if you have any interest in firearms. It's always good knowledge to have and entertaining to watch. Leaving a like on the video, anything that involves engagement with the channel, please do that. I would appreciate it greatly. It helps the channel out, helps us grow, helps me do more videos like this. So, thank you.